colleagues, Tusanang PM Sebata. I'm looking at Thomson Reuters Corporation. I just came to this page because I did my other technical analysis research and realized that this company was good for shorting, among others, but I ended up selecting this one. That's its daily chart. These are its highest highs. It's never been in these zones before. So I looked at what do they do, publishing in periodicals, but we'll look into depth into that. But I just wanted to look at these summarized fundamentals here and share my thoughts on a desktop research ability to see what I think when I look at these numbers at face value. Market cap is a good company. It's at 39, almost 40 billion. Those are the companies which I like to play around with. We have optionable and shortable, and it's yes, I like that because I want to play it using options. Next, we have a PE ratio, which is crazy, 191, and the forward PE shows that it's going to go down drastically to 42%. So I like it when I'm intending to short a company to have this set up. Debt is not that high, but they really can't get much debt. What they do is just consulting. They sit down and research and do some reports and write reports and sell those reports to clients. So you can't expect much debt there. Earnings per share this year, it's down about 50%. Yet the company is souring that performance previous year is 56% when the earnings shares are down 50%. There is the disconnect. I like to see these disconnects when I want to short a company, when things stop making a business sense, but the stock market rewards a company. Earnings per share next year, we expect it to go to 50%. But if you have been down 50% and you go up 55%, basically you have not even broken even. That's an interesting one, but these numbers can deceive other players in the game. Earnings per share next 5 years, we expect to be rocking at around 44. That's impressive. Earnings per share past 5 years, where we're coming from, it's just 13%. So there's an expectation in the market that these guys are going to triple perform what they've been doing. They're going to make it 3 times that. They sell information that they're going to hire more professionals or get more clients and more clients, 3 times more clients than they have currently. Not buying the story. Sales past 5 years is 15% down. So these guys' sales have been going down. They have not been generating that much revenue in the past 5 years. And you are being told that the earnings per share is going to triple what they've been doing the past 5 years. Another disconnect. Quarter on quarter, they've grown by 10%. Earnings per share, quarter on quarter, 56% down. So the revenues have been up by 10% for quarter on quarter, and the earnings per share, quarter on quarter, have been down more than 56% down. Another disconnect. This company is just full of things which are not adding up for me. And I like it on the short side. Then let's go to insider ownership, 55%. You have to understand where it's coming from and run a trend to fully utilize that information. So I won't comment that much on it. I haven't done my thorough homework there. Institutional ownership. For a company like this, you would expect it in the 70s, 80s region, but it's down to 38. But there is a reason for it. I'll explain later. Institutional transactions, you can see that it's been going down. It's a minus almost 2%. Return on assets, it's a funny low number of 2%. Return on equity is about 4%. Return on invested capital is about 5%. All these numbers would lead one at face value to say this company is destroying value for the investors because its cost of capital is way low. But understand it for what they are. These guys are basically a bunch of guys who get their salaries, and what was the company set for? The company is not set for return on equity, is not set for return on investment. It's for the guys to draw their money through salaries. That's what they're doing. Gross margin, for whatever they invoice, the gross margin is about 95%, 96%. So when they send you a report, they're basically making about 95% on profit on that, because there's not much expenses except those salaries which we spoke about. Operating margin, it's about 22%, 21%. That's a good margin. That's why most people have been letting the stock rocket. Profit margin is down to 6%. So from an operating margin of 21%, what drops down to the profit margin is only 6%. Some serious scams there. If one is going to do a proper intrinsic valuation, you look to answer this question: what's the gap here? Where's the money disappearing to? And here's a critical one: the payout ratio. For the profits which drop down to the profit margin here, they are not paying all of it, but they are paying double of it. So where are they getting the other double payments which they are making? They are returning 200. Suppose they made 100, they returned 100 plus another 100% on top of that. This is more structured like a REITs company. And yet, returning this payout ratio, you'd expect them to have a high dividend percentage. But it's not that high. It's almost even less than the 10-year treasury bond. Yet they are returning 200%. So it's not something which they will attract a dividend-loving investors. And why they do it baffles me. So with the proper research and due diligence, one will try and understand. If they were doing this and paying a dividend which will attract dividend type of investor, I would say they want to maintain those. But for me, I would suspect they're just trying to maintain the dividend they have been paying in the past. But it's not making sense paying double what you are making. Lots of red flags there. Come to this one. This one is really interesting. Target price by analysts who follow this stock. We are looking at the analyst mean target price. It's at 46. So if you run all the analysts who are looking at this stock and you run a mean for their target price where they think this company is supposed to be trading, they are calling it at 46. The company is trading at 80, almost double where they are calling it. So most analysts will expect this company to be even below this, what you can see in this chart. Let me go and pull the weekly and see whether I'll get to the 46 mark. Yes. So the analysts expect it to be around, to be around this zone here, where it was last down here, and it's trading there. Look at that gap. When analysts run their valuations, they say the stock is supposed to be worth 46. Who has been paying for it at this level? Who has been buying continuously going there? Another serious disconnect, because this stock is almost double oversold. It's a good candidate for shorting. We are almost at the real highs. We're just 8% below what we made as the real high. That's tweak there. That was the high of highs. And yeah, the market has been loving these guys. Performance from the previous year is 56% high. Performance year to date, we're only 1 month into the year and it's already clocking 13%. It will be a delight for any hedge fund to have owned this. But the question now is the game over? And the other thing which has been running havoc with the hedge funds is because of its beta. It's at only 0.5%. So when they calculated their imaginary risk analysis, this is viewed as a less risk stock. But here's the bottom deal of this company. If you're going to pay almost the 200 PE for a stock which pays back double what it makes, but the dividend is still 1.78, and its return on investment, it's 5%, ROE and all that is basically nothing. I can't justify why this company is rocketed. And all the analysts are saying it shouldn't have, should be almost halfway it's trading currently. That's my shorting candidate. That's why I'm going to look at shorting this one. I'll do over the weekend, I'll do an intrinsic valuation analysis on this one, but my mind is almost made. And colleagues, if you are going to look at this, take your time and read most of these comments. If you are inclined to what other investors are thinking, and look at this upgrade, down, hold, down, perform. These usually give you an idea, but once you have already picked on where their target is, where we are trading, there is a serious cause for shorting it. And looking at my technical analysis, I'll just be quick. Okay, I'll deal with this one. Here, why I put the line here is the weight shot up. Most people will sell you the idea that it was breaking to new highs. That's why you're supposed to buy it. I don't buy the idea of breaking to new highs. What I rather would have considered to buy at this level is multiple analysis, multiple time frame analysis. Let's go and take a weekly chart, and I'll put it on 5 here. You can see that it was making lows there. This was coming from the bottom. It had grouped there, and now we had this bounce there, cleared by divergence there. The stock was going downwards. RSI was making new highs, divergence by divergence. But the kicker was here, when parabolic flipped over and the price closed above tick and sell. That's why I would have bought it on a weekly. What was the monthly chart saying? There is the monthly chart. Classic. Grouping at the bottom. This chart here, on the monthly chart, it was a clear bottom. That's where you buy. Not this story of being told that it's making new highs and you jump looking at the daily chart. Go and look at the monthly. Is it at the bottom? Yes. Is the weekly at the bottom? Yes. I don't care what the daily is saying. I'm in for the money. Look at that move. That's how you'd have got it. Not the story of the daily is making new highs and then you are going to buy because go find yourself multiple time frames, then do the analysis. This did not break based on the daily chart. It broke based on a weekly chart and monthly charts. Now we are here. Why was I explaining this? To give you context of how I'm going to be selling at this level. We're at the top. This has been a grouping there. So on the daily, it says sell. And the parabolic is almost going to flip anytime we close below tick and sell and parabolic flip. What is the weekly doing? I like to get my weekly with a little bit more data on. There is the weekly. It's not nicely grouped yet, but we are almost there. It's way up there. And we're having slight divergence there because this is not yet up, but I would have waited for the grouping to call the proper divergence at the current price. Let me just remove this, just a distraction. At that point, I would say we're almost grouping there, but we're not quite there yet. And the monthly time frame, what's the monthly saying for us? The monthly is grouped. We're at the top, so daily is grouped at the top, monthly is grouped at the top, the weekly is not yet nicely there. For this one, the multiple time frames, monthly is good, daily is good, weekly is fidgeting around, but it's also at the top. So what I would do for this one, I'll go back to the daily and wait. Once the parabolic flips over and price closes below tick and sell, I'm shorting this one at that level. But since I'm using options, I can pull it at this level, short it at this level, and use options with a 3 months period then I know I'll be in the money. I can stand 2 weeks, 3 weeks of it fidgeting around flat there, but within 3 months, I know it would have tanked. That's my analysis for Thomson Reuters Corporation. I'm short. And depending on how my intrinsic valuation looks, by the open on Monday, I might be putting a structure to short this. That's my analysis, colleagues. And once I've done the intrinsic evaluation, I might just attach it into my tweet feed without explaining it that much, so that one would have an analysis. Or I can rather do a video less than 5 minutes and just present the intrinsic evaluation. I thank you. It's Thusanang PM Sebata signing off.